As civil war continues in Somalia, many refugees are fleeing to the United States and other countries. Quite a few Somalians have resettled in Kansas, mainly working in meatpacking facilities. This video features Mohamed Abdurahman, whose job is to assist refugees and their respective adoptive communities in making the transition into life in the United States as smooth as possible.
Somalis are divided into clans and sub-clans or tribes and sub-tribes, and that is the reason that we have the war, because of these different clans fighting each other, each one of them trying to control the country or be the government or align with another clan. So that's why we have the war in Somalia. Otherwise, Somalia is one of the most homogeneous countries in the world. All our Somalis are the same ethnicity, same language, same religion. Somalis are Muslims, Sunni Muslims. A lot of them know how to read the Quran. They can read the Quran, they can recite it, but a lot of them do not speak or write Arabic. So even though they can read the Quran, which is written in Arabic language, they cannot speak or write Arabic language. Families are headed by a male figure, usually. Even though now increasingly we see households that are headed by females, because either the male, the father of the family is killed or in the war, or the mother is single mother. So increasingly we see that, but usually it's headed by a male figure in the family. Also, another thing that we different is children are expected to take care of the family and their parents when they grow up. Even when they're young, especially the girls, are expected to be part of the family and do the house chores and be with the mom. But as soon as the children grow up and they make their own income, instead of being separate, they a lot of times live with their parents and support the parents. These children went through a lot of trauma, fled the country, came to the United States. During flight from Somalia to refugee countries, to refugee camps, they have seen killings, they have seen rapes, they have seen torture. Maybe they might have been tortured themselves or raped or did something bad to them. So that trauma is still there. Refugee camps are not the best place, really. There is a violence at night, there is a difficulty, there is shortage of everything. There were no proper schools there too. So these children come with a lot of baggage, a lot of difficult life. Now, nobody diagnoses in the refugee camps stuff like illnesses like post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD or autism or ADHD or things like that. So these children probably might have those, but have never been diagnosed. They came in the United States, suddenly they are in a school. So those things should be paid attention. Another issue that increasingly we see is children that are not their own age. They come here, they probably is 14, but his documents say he's 7 years old. Particularly in Somalia, date of birth are not really celebrated, and a lot of families don't know the date of birth. They know the child is 13 or 12 or 14, but they don't know. Therefore, a lot of times there is a confusion. And children come here and end up in a class that are not their age. For example, a 14-year-old might end up in a 5th grade or something like that. So those things should be also observed. Another issue is that children, when they come here, the teachers should observe is malnutrition. really. The refugee camps were not best place to have nutrition. So when they come here, children really are malnourished, a lot of them. Therefore, that might affect their development and their thinking and their catching up with the homework. So that things also should be looked at. School structure in Somalia is totally different here than here. There is strict discipline in Somalia, and physical discipline is normal. The liberty in the classroom here is different from back in Somalia. Students, children could not just walk out of the class or move inside the class. The teacher have to give you permission. So a lot of times these things affect the children when they come here. As I said, these children went through a lot of chaos in their lives and a lot of war. And a lot of times research shows that the lax rules of the classes here they equate that to the chaos back home and then affects them. And a lot of children they interviewed, researchers interviewed, said that I feel that the class is out of control. A lot of Somali children said that the class is out of control, there is no discipline. So they prefer the strict rules. I would suggest that teachers here in Kansas and in the US, when they want to interact or communicate with the parents, it should be personal communication. Either the parents should be called to school or somebody should be sent to their home to talk to the parent with the help of an interpreter. A lot of the parents do not speak English. Therefore, might know there is a problem with their child, but hesitate to go to school because they cannot communicate with the teacher. But if they know that there is an interpreter at the school or the teachers have access to an interpreter, it's highly likely that they will go to school and talk to the teacher and say, well, I feel my son is not doing well or my daughter is not doing well. How can you help him? Likewise, the teachers, if they see that the children, refugee children or Somali children are not performing well in school, I would highly recommend that parents be called personally to school and talk to. I know for a fact Somalis value education and they really want their children to go to school and value education. And children are actually, a lot of times you will hear parents saying that, well, do you have any other job than to go to school? That's your job and I want you to be on top of your job. But if the parents do not know, then children really fall behind. The most difficult things for Somalis when they come here, number one, like many nationalities, is the language. That's the most challenging. Then second most challenging is really the weather. Like a lot of people, even though most Somalis live in Minnesota, which is one of the coldest places in the United States. But a lot of, especially the elder people, feel that it's really affecting their health. Third thing that we see quite often is nutrition. A lot of times food is abundant here. There is lack of education on the health food or choice of food. Therefore, nutrition is another issue. Again, another one that's a bigger challenge is not knowing the rules. Here, a lot of times people think that refugees or Somalis ignore the rules. They do not. Simply, they don't know the rules. In the state of Kansas, most Somalis work either in the meat packing plants or what's called entry-level jobs. Other factories or restaurants or housekeeping in hotels. So those are, but a majority of the Somalis, especially in southwest Kansas, in Dodge City and Garden City and Liberal, they work on meat packing plants. And those meat packing plants really their wages are higher than, fast food restaurants and stuff like that. But the work is harder, really. It's really physically demanding job. But a lot of them work there now almost 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and some of them move with their families there. When children, they come in this country, they learn the language fast. They go to school, but the parents are at home. Some of them do not go to English class or might go, a few times a week to English class. So parents depend on the children, and then roles reverse. Now the parents have to wait the children to come from school in order to go to the grocery store to buy sugar, because they don't know how to say sugar or where to find it, or or they think they might get lost. So it's really difficult for both the children and the parent. Now the parents feel that they lost control. Now all of a sudden they have to depend on their children, their 12-year-old or 13-year-old, to come from school so that they can go to the grocery store and get things from the store. Children are feeling burdened because now they come from school, they're tired, they have homework. Instead of sitting doing their homework and being a child, now all of a sudden they have to take the parents to the laundromat because they don't know how to put the coins in the laundromat. The best part about being in the United States, and a lot of Somalis will tell you this, is the freedom to come here and be free to work, free to live their own lives, free to raise their children the way they want, without any interference or worry from anything. The other thing is that the rule of law. A lot of times there was chaos in Somalia, in the refugee camps. There were no law really. Here there's a rule of law, and people know their boundaries, and so that's really very, very important. Another one is the safety that people appreciate. We share with everybody the general concern of maybe gangs in the neighborhood or something like that, but there is no all-out war or like the refugee camps, killings at night. So those things make them appreciate that they're here and want to contribute to the society, really. In fact, all of them looking forward to becoming United States citizens, so they can, be able to have a passport and travel and enjoy life and be part of the American dream.